Hey YouTube. So, Thomas Massie lost. I've had discussions with people on social media about Massie, and I don't get how people think it's people that just parrot what Trump says. And then when you ask them, well, when they're like, oh, he's a Democrat. And then you ask, well, what makes you think that? And there's crickets. They don't say anything, oh, I said what I said, and then they personally attack you, which anyone that debates anyone online, you know that means that you won, because they have nothing of substance to say. But the guy that won is backed by Middle Eastern New Jersey, heavily. Was it 32 million? I'm not good with numbers, so who knows. I know there's a lot more money than I have, but it just shows that we are captured by a foreign country. It seems like if you in Middle Eastern New Jersey, the tiny hats, pretty sure you know who I'm talking about. It's the boomers. Now, the boomers, I've come to the conclusion that they are woke. They're woke from their generation. They're like the gender people. You know, you can't question it, or you're this or that. You're a threat to our democracy. That's coming from the boomers when referencing Middle Eastern New Jersey. They think you want genocide. You want to murder everyone. Just because you question why a small country has so much power over us. So, the boomer generation, they're woke. And they're stupid. They're probably the dumbest generation. And they'll say they aren't. I'm sure I'll get comments if anybody watches this, which maybe not. They will argue that they're not. But they're the ones that fall for this propaganda. I mean, they're the ones that fall for the phone calls. You owe said amount of money to said amount agency, or you owe money for a toll. You need to scan this QR and send us your life savings, or you will be arrested. And people that are in the younger generation will look at that and be like, this is stupid. This is obviously a scam. I mean, but the boomer generation will not. They'll be like, oh my goodness, I better go get my iTunes gift cards and pay the IRS, because taxes are the price you pay to live in a civilized society. It's the boomers that are doing that. And they're the same ones that will complain. They'll be like, why? Why is my country so different from when I was young and growing up? It's obviously the Gen Xers, they're lazy burnouts, or it's the millennials who can't get off their phone, or Gen Z who thinks everything should be handed to them. They are communists. No, it's not them. It's the policies you voted for. The policies that helped you. Hence why you bought a house in the 80s or 70s for $80,000. And I know people, yeah, but it was a 13% interest rate. Yeah, that house is worth $800,000 now. Some are $1 million. I mean, there were people in the 70s and 80s, probably more 70s, that could work part-time at Jack in the Box in San Diego, California, and pay for their apartment and pay their way through college without taking out loans. Do you know what working part-time at Jack in the Box gets you now? Gets you laughed at. That's the best story I've ever heard, because it's fucking true. Now, I am the first year millennial. I was born in 1982 in June. When I was 17. Actually, when I was 16, when I first started driving, gas was 87 cents a gallon. Okay? I am 43 now, and it is $4.43 a gallon. I just drove by the gas station. Now, 87 cents a gallon. Now, when I was 17, it did go up. It was a little over $1. I worked at Burger King. Now, I worked full-time at Burger King, but I made $6.50 an hour. I paid my rent, which I had roommates, yes. But again, I was 17, just about to turn 18. I had a car payment. I paid for my food through the week. I never had to borrow money. I took my girlfriend, or whatever girl I was dating at the time, out to eat. I used to go out to eat at Denny's after I got out of work. And I'd pay for all of that. And I was fine. There was no cell phone, so I didn't have to pay for that. So yes, there's more things you have to pay for nowadays. But everyone says that you're not getting paid a living wage to pay for everything. And that is somewhat true, but it's the prices of everything. And it's people that have bought an apartment building for $80,000 to $100,000, and now they sold it for $1 million. So therefore, you have to raise rent to cover that mortgage. My rent when I was 17, turning 18, was $200 a month, and it stayed that way. Other places I lived, it was $200 a month, up until I was just, I'd say late 20s, mid to late 20s. And granted, I had roommates. I didn't have any kids. I was in a band touring. I didn't care to have my own, I didn't care that I had to live with the roommates. Now I bought a trailer in down East Maine for $10,000. $10,000. You can't do that nowadays. And I worked in Bar Harbor for a whole summer, and I worked a lot of overtime. I worked 100 plus hours a week. But I made enough money to pretty much pay that off in one summer. You can't do that now. That is the problem. And my car payment was $200 a month. And I overpaid for my truck because I didn't have any credit, nothing. So I had to go to a buy here, pay here place, and I was paying $200 a month. You can't get a car with a car payment unless you do a $10,000 car and you do it for 7 years or 6 years with a low interest rate. But the average person is paying $400 to $600 a month. Now the guys with the big trucks, they're paying a lot more. We know this. You can't do what I did in my early 20s now. You can't find an apartment. The average apartment was $650 a month. Usually everything was included. And it was three. My buddy Dave and I had an apartment, 3-bedroom, everything included. It was $650 a month. Well, you can't get that anymore. You just can't. And wages have not gone up. When I first moved down to southern Maine, I was making mid to high teens. And my rent was $900 a month for a 3-bedroom. A very nice 3-bedroom. That same 3-bedroom now is $1,800. And the average pay, like restaurant pay, because that's what's in the area, and other places that are entry-level jobs pay around the same, $15 an hour. I was making $14 an hour as a cook, paying $900 a month in rent. And it was hard to do. I couldn't imagine paying double that. So, and this is all from boomers. They are reaping the benefits of their generation and fucking over the younger generation. I did not have it as hard as, say, the younger generation. I don't know how my kids are going to be able to afford a house. Like, for instance, I bought my house for $200,000. It's now worth $430,000. I bought it 5 years ago. That's ridiculous. I don't think my house is worth $430,000. I just don't. And if I would have bought that house a year prior, I could have got it for $130,000. Like, that's how bad it's getting. And you hear boomers saying we need to change the voting because they don't like the way things are going, because they're starting to lose power, but they still have too much. They say, oh, people on welfare should not be allowed to vote. I mean, I can get what you're saying. You think that they're going to just vote for their interest to get free shit. Those aren't the people that are voting. They're not voting. The people that take advantage of the system to live off welfare, they don't give a shit about voting. And it's not the single mom or father that needs help and is working their way up, that gets, say, EBT or food stamps for a short time. It's not that person. Okay? The people that are voting, the people that are falling for the garbage on on mainstream media, it's the boomers. And the people that will surpass them are falling for it on the other side. So I think if you don't want those people to vote, I don't think anyone over the age of 65 should be allowed to vote. You're on state benefits. You're living off my tax dollars, because it's not your tax dollars that paid your Social Security, it's mine. Your Social Security was spent by how you voted. You wanted endless wars. You wanted to prop up Middle Eastern New Jersey. It is you. You are the weak men. The people that fought World War II was a generation of strong men. Strong men, the generation that went to World War II, built a good society. They built good times, which created weak men. Boomers. Those weak men who are in charge now created bad times. And I think it's possibly some millennials and Gen Z that might change that around. I don't know. It depends how much these AI data centers take over. I don't think we have much time left. And I don't think we're going to vote our way out. So, the Thomas Massie loss just solidifies that just a little bit more. That's all I gotta say about that. Goodbye.